Última clase. Gracias, gracias, de sinceridades. So happy to be here, and so happy to be in a place where I already love the food, so it makes it very easy to say yes to come talk. So it's the last class of the day. Who's been here the whole time? Ah, very good, buen trabajo. And we learned in the first presentation a little bit about, what would you say, survival. There's sobrevive, right? Survival, sobrevivencia. And then the next talk, we learned a little bit about change in perspective, how you can change your mind in perspective. To have humor, of course. I expect a standing ovation after, too. It's only funny because it's true. And then the next one, we started thinking about memory and the five senses, that's my world. And then I think tying it together with this idea of the emotions that we saw in the talk about revenge, and the fact that we've seen just glorious art this whole day, that for me is, like flavor, an international language. So I feel very lucky to be the last person to speak to you, and I hope that you walk away with so much, because that's what this day is about. So let's get into it. Something you're familiar with, well, my goal for you, I want you to walk away empowered by the knowledge that you bring so much to the table. This talk is about you. Yes, I'm a geneticist. Yes, I'm a scientist. But if you don't walk away learning about yourself, then I haven't done my job today. So we're going to do 3 parts. Flavor 101, science, aha, and then why you're unique. So this is something that we're familiar with. Why flavor was so important is because it ties to this very evolution. Flavor allows us to go towards things that we need to survive, food, nutrients, and away from things like poison that are going to kill us. We take it for granted in industrialized countries, right? What do we have? You're hungry? Go to 7-Eleven. Soriana. Supermercado Dia. Más? Mega. Mega. So this guy didn't have Mega. He needed his senses to tell him what would help him survive and what would kill him. Consider these your ancestors. Your ancestors used flavor in order to survive, and that's part of the reason why you're here today. Also is the first talk, you might remember. That's another piece of survival that's very important, that we're all here. Okay, so how does this affect you right now? You might think to yourself, doesn't matter. I have Soriana. Well, the fact of the matter is that over time, as well as in 2008, it's a strong example, and I'll come right over here. Flavor, sabor, is the #1 reason why people choose food. Because we can't get away from the way in which evolution has shaped us. Nutrition, sorry, still not as important. Price is the only thing that has come up, and you can see that a little bit in the green line. And price comes up based on when we have economic depressions. Price becomes more important. Everything else, health, convenience, sustainability, nothing compared to taste and flavor. And here you were taking it for granted all day. Who had lunch? Did you think a lot about the sense of taste while you were eating? No, cha-cha-la, right? This is why flavor is still so important. Because we no longer eat mindfully. We don't use our senses. I'll be the first to admit that I'll sit in front of the TV with a pint of Ben & Jerry's. Do you have, yes, you like that. Mm-hmm. And don't pay attention. And binge watch Jane the Virgin. Also like that. And I look down and the ice cream is all gone. That's not good. So the things that helped us, the things that helped our ancestors are not helping us now. So don't walk away depressed. I'm going to empower you. I want to talk to you about how you can understand yourself so that not only just nutrition because some things that you change your habit, but that your whole life perspective. So let's get to some fun stuff. Okay, taste versus flavor. This is very important. Language is important. And so gracias to the translators, because we talked about this ahead of time. El gusto, el sentido del gusto, taste, sense of taste. Taste is a noun and a verb. We're going to talk about that more. Flavor is all of your senses. El sabor es todos los sentidos. It's all your senses, and they all send signals to the brain. So let's do a little exercise. Okay. Everybody still awake? Más café? All right. So humans, we trust our eyes first. This is how we've evolved to trust. So your sense of sight is the part of your brain right here. Pick up your hands, put them to the back of your head. That's the part of your brain for sight. Next one, smell. Imagine you're smelling something, right? The part where smell lives in your brain, pretend you have 2 blueberries in your fingers. Put them right here next to where your eyebrows meet your nose. You have 2 little olfactory bulbs that sit right here on your brain, really close. Smell. We already did smell. No, oh shoot, smell is here. Sound is here. It's right above your ears. Got ahead of myself. Sense of touch is right along the top. You might have seen those maps that show different parts of the body that are like different sizes, your hands and your mouth. Again, this goes back to that first talk. Very sensitive. And then taste is the last. So take one finger and put it kind of through your forehead. This is not the revenge talk. Take the other one and put it above your ear. Where those 2 lines would meet, right in the center of your brain, is the taste cortex, the part of your brain for the sense of taste. The brain takes in all of this information, and the brain, you can put your hands down now. The brain takes in all this information. It's a supercomputer, and it says, oh, that was coffee. That was tomato, and so on. So flavor is in the brain. So don't confuse it with taste, because each of these senses are important for how you experience the world. Again, not just in nutrition, but completely in all aspects of your life. Yes. Okay, so let's do an experiment. Por favor, señor Lot. Gracias. Muy guapo. Okay. Caramello? No? Where were they? They were in your bag, I think. Do you want some of mine? I'll throw it. You want to try? Here, come close. You're going to have to split it, because I only have 2. I already ate one. It sounds like it's raining in here. Okay. All right, there's 3, so share. There's 3 in each thing. Okay. Are you ready? Sí, estamos listos. All right. First thing we're going to do, we're going to use our sense of sight. Look at it. ¿Cuál es su color? What is the color? Oh, come on, guys. You can do better than that. Yell it out to me. Rojo, sí. Okay. Orange, red, pink, rosado. All right. We're looking at it. Now, what I want you to do is just run it under your nose and take a breath in through your nostrils. There's not much smell to it through your nostrils. All right, the next part's one of the big ahas. So how we doing? People getting ready? For the most part, I still hear rain, so. Sí, okay. Muy importante, close your nose. Keep your nose plugged the whole time. Put the candy into your mouth and really start using your tongue to dissolve it. The first thing you're going to get is taste. Taste is one of the quickest senses. Sweet. This candy also has sour. This candy also has a little salt. There's even some savory in it. It's like the ketchup of candy. Okay, now really, really don't unplug yet. Now I want you to close your eyes, because now you're going to start getting a little bit of tingling. You're getting a little bit of tingling from the spicy. It's not super spicy, but a little bit of tingling. Raise your hand if you get a little bit of tingling. All right, now this is the best part. If you already unplugged your nose, I'm sorry, you ruined the experiment and you need to leave. I'm just kidding. You can stay, but you have homework. All right, now unplug your nose and breathe in and out. Now you get more smell. So now it's kind of fruity, maybe like fresas. I'm not really sure. I didn't call the company and find out. That's mindfulness. That's actively using all of your senses to perceive the world around you. That was backwards. Let's go forwards. And now comes the science. This is our ahas. So the first one, hola Mexico, spicy is not a taste. Say it with me. Spicy is not a taste. Picante no es el gusto. It's called mouthfeel. Who's heard the term mouthfeel before? A little bit? It's the sense of touch in the mouth. So if someone come up so I can pinch you. I'm just kidding. If you pinch yourself, it gets a little red. It might hurt a little bit. If you get hurt enough, right, you're starting to have like blood flow go to the area. Same thing happens with spicy. I know you don't want to admit it, but maybe some of you get red when you eat spicy food. Maybe a little sweaty. Maybe your nose starts to run. Yeah. It's the sense of touch in the mouth, and it's called mouthfeel. So here is, okay, this is another fun one. Take your fingers, tres, ambos manos, and put like this. See. Now say, trigeminal nerve. Perfect. This is the trigeminal nerve. Anybody been to the dentist? See, you know when they give you the shot? They're numbing this nerve because it helps with pain, temperature, and texture. You may put your hands down, but such great photo ops. Someone's taking pictures, right? So the trigeminal nerve is pain, temperature, and texture in your face. And there's 3 branches of it. Neuroscience. Everyone excited? There's 3 branches of it that help you to understand how your face and your mouth get affected by these things that can be pain, temperature, and texture. Again, not a taste. Can you see close enough to this cartoon drawing? Smell is more than this. All right, Tom would tell me that this is too dark and people can't see what's going on. It's taking them too long to see the baby who's getting the diaper changed. Where are you, Tom? Are you still here? Maybe he's downstairs. Smell is more than this. We think about smell only coming through the nostrils. But remember when I had you unplug your nose and breathe in and out? That's because those molecules that are in food, when you start heating them up in your mouth, chewing them, they go into the air and through the back way to the nose. Has anybody ever had horchata come out of their nostrils? Coca-Cola? That's not pleasant. Because you're shaking your head like, yes, too many times maybe. It's good. Everyone high-fived the guy in the hat back there. He's like, yeah, that means you laugh a lot. I like it. So that's because there's a connection. So let's look at what this connection looks like. So I'm going to come over to this one. So through the mouth, there's a connection back up to this nasal cavity where your olfactory bulb, your blueberry, lives. So through the nose, orthonasal. Repite, por favor. Orthonasal. Pero. Retronasal, retro, behind, retronasal is the magic. That's where so much of aroma comes from, because you're warming it up in your mouth, and so more molecules go into the air. So when you smelled it like this, it didn't smell like much. But when you put it in your mouth, all of these wonderful senses came together, and you knew exactly what you were tasting. So your genetics allows you to detect a possible 10,000 to 100,000 identifiable aromas. That's crazy. So why is it we can never think of what that thing is? And do we have wine or beer drinkers in the audience? Yes? And do you say to yourself, oh, this wine, this plum, leather. So it's so hard to do that. So most of the time it's BS, which I don't know how you translate that, Becky, thank you. So let's move on to taste. This is your third aha, because taste is a noun and a verb. So we say we taste something. We can say we taste, like probar, like to try, to taste, right? But then there's sabor, which is more like the flavor. And then there's el gusto, the taste. And then sentido del gusto, which is the sense of taste. And so you can see, as a scientist, how it gets complicated when I work with humans. Y'all are messy. You can translate y'all, right? Ustedes. You all are messy. And it's really hard to control for the messiness of humans. And it's also the most fun, because humans are fascinating. So let's talk a little bit about taste. Dulce, sweet, is going to be pretty easy to understand, right? Sugar. And in terms of survival, we need it because it used to be hard to get ice cream. No. It used to be hard to get carbohydrates, right? So we have a pleasure reaction. Agrio, sour. Sour is interesting. Scientists don't know how sour works in terms of, do people like it or not like it? It seems, and we don't know the genetics of it, it seems that you like it at weaker concentrations. You could think like citric acid, which is important so you don't get scurvy like a pirate and die. So it's important that we taste weak acids. However, raise your hand if the last happy hour you had battery acid. Nobody? Oh, Andreas, claro. Gotta steal. No, of course not. So that is still an acid. It probably does taste sour, but if you drink it, you're gonna die. So we don't understand sour too well yet. Salty, salado, it seems to be very important for keeping your body working in very specific ways. It's called homeostasis. Very important because salt also used to be really hard to find. So hard, in fact, that salt was basically money in much of the early world. Amargo, or bitter. I'm pretty sure you guys are pretty familiar with this. Do I have beer drinkers? Raise your hand. You can be proud. It's okay. And do you like IPAs? Yeah? Guess what? Babies are not born liking IPAs. Did you know that? They won't let me test it. I don't know why. No. When you're born, bitter, no. Because bitter represents poison. Almost all poisonous plants are bitter. When you're a baby, first thing you love when you're born, sweet, right? Mother's milk, sweet. This is another aha, though. Who's heard of the word umami, which translates to umami? Porque it's Japanese. So umami is the taste of protein. And what's really interesting about umami is scientists didn't know how important it was in mother's milk until they started making formulas in the 1950s, and they weren't working. So babies can detect umami and sweet right out of the womb and don't like anything else until they get older. Here's how it works. Everybody, you're sitting next to a stranger or someone you know. It's a little dark up there. You guys are going to have to pretend. Stick your tongue out at the person next to you. Perhaps we can raise up the light slightly. I'm not kidding. Do you want to come see my tongue? Come on. Come. Por favor. Vámonos. No se importa. Come on. All right. You see the bumps?
Sí.
See?
Yes.
Okay, what are those bumps?
Perdón.
What are those bumps called? Do you know? No? No? Oh, she doesn't have her thing in. ¿Qué es la palabra para
Granulos.
granulos? ¿Sí? ¿Papile or taste bud? Papilla. Whoa. Smartest audience I've ever talked to. My job here is done. Most people say taste buds. Sí, it's papilla. Oh, such a wonderful little voice over there. Where is that? Bonito. Taste bud. So these bumps are not taste buds. What you can see are called papillae. There's multiple different kinds, and those papillae are the homes of taste buds. So real quick, this is very interactive. I want you to pretend that every single person in here, we're going to make an orange. We're going to pretend. So every single person is a slice of an orange, okay? Good. And I want you to pretend that altogether, this room makes a taste bud. There's much more people. There's about usually 100 to 150 cells per taste bud. There's more than that. But let's pretend. Now I want you to look up to the sky. Don't blind yourself. And I want you to imagine saliva dripping all over you. But you are a taste bud, and you love it. So we're going to be either, you get to choose. You can be a sweet taste bud. Or you can be a sweet cell. You can be a bitter cell. Hopefully you're all sweet today. Or you can be an umami cell. Those are the ones that use receptors, like a lock and a key. So make a C on top of your head. Actually, you might want to stand up. If you can, please stand up. If you don't want, you don't have to. Don't worry about it. I know you have all kinds of stuff. So everybody sees the saliva coming down. There's food molecules in the saliva. Here's one. Make one. Pretend this is a food molecule. It's swimming around. Just fell on your head. And it binds like a lock and key to the receptor. And you are a cell. So you have this activation. And activation looks like this. Oh, you got it. This guy, he knew. He's seen me talk before. And now look down. I bet you didn't know. You had nerves coming out of your feet. Okay, point to your tongue. Those nerves go back this way, behind your ear, into the center of your brain, to that part of your brain for taste. And your brain said, so which cell were you? Were you sweet or bitter or umami? No, you can't be sour. Sour has a different mechanism. He's sweet. He is, isn't he? His brain went, sweet! And then it said, do it again, which is part of the problem in a modernized industrial country, is that we can't override that do it again. It's like, that tasted so good. And I would like more, please. Okay, go ahead and sit down. Give yourselves a round of applause. You guys are fun. I was afraid you were going to be too tired. All right. Oh, I know why I put this here. This is a pause to tell you one more thing. If you walk away learning nothing else, please learn something. But if you walk away learning nothing else from my talk, please, por favor, the taste map is wrong. It is still in books, textbooks. It is so wrong. So just know that. And go out and have a drink tonight and be like, taste map's wrong. Whew. So you can taste all five all five tastes all over your tongue. And that's because in any taste bud, in any one of those oranges like us, you had a sweet person next to a bitter person next to sour, and so on and so forth. So if you can have all different types of cells in one taste bud, and that happens all over your tongue, taste is all over your tongue. So just remember that. All right, I'll keep it moving here. Back to you. You are unique. You are awesome. Let's find out why. DNA. I'm a geneticist, so I'm going to talk about DNA. DNA. DNA is a cookbook for your body. A cookbook has in it, chapters, right? You've got the chapter on main meals, appetizers, cookies. Your chromosomes are like chapters in your DNA cookbook. And then within a chapter, you have recetas. You have recipes. You have about 25,000 genes or recipes in you right now, in every single cell in your body. And a recipe just tells you how to make something you need, right? That's it. Same thing for your genes. Your genes tell your body how to make something it needs for it to function or how it looks. Humans are 99.9 genetically identical in our DNA cookbooks. Me, you, Anita. Woo! Shout out to Anita. Senor Lot. I don't know where you went. Are you still there? There you are. Every single Andreas. I don't know where you went either. Oh, there you are. You moved. How can I make contact with you when you keep moving on me? So what accounts for all of the amazing differences in all of us? It's just 0.01%. In ways we can see and in ways we can't see, like how we detect flavor in our food. So let's talk about this. DNA and aroma. Raise your hand if cilantro tastes like cilantro to you. Tastes. That's me. I love cilantro. Okay, flip side. Raise your hand if cilantro tastes like soap to you. Do we have any of those folks? Oh, pobrecita. There's a lot of cilantro in Mexico. Okay, so this is genetic, and it's not the sense of taste. I use taste there because colloquially, that's what people say, but it's actually the sense of smell, so you can blame it on your genes. It's not always just genetics, though. In some countries where you don't have that typical smell of soap, if you have the same genetic change, you don't associate it with a cleaning product, and so it doesn't taste bad to you. So aroma is very cultural. There's not one smell that's pleasant to every single person on the planet, and nor, believe it or not, I'm sure you could come up with good ideas, there's not one smell that is aversive to every single person on the planet, because it's 100% cultural. And you start learning in the womb. Which, to bring it back to spicy, you learn spicy sensitivity in the womb as well. So if your mom eats spicy foods, you're gonna have a higher ability to eat that, higher threshold. So good on you moms who have diverse diets. So DNA and taste. So there's only, super important, only 2 genes or recipes for umami, only 2 genes or recipes for sweet. That's it. Seems pretty impressive to me. How about this? There's over 25 genes for bitter. That's a lot of real estate. It's a lot of genetic real estate. And we don't keep stuff around in terms of evolution if you don't need it. So this gets back to what we talked about before. It's very important that you know the taste of poison, so you don't eat it and die. Instead, if you can taste poison, you spit it out, right? And then you meet the love of your life, and you have babies, and you've passed on that skill, that genetic skill, to your offspring. So we have hardwired taste preferences from birth. Bitter, we talked about. Sour and salty are in the middle, we don't quite understand them. And then sweet and umami's at the end. And again, this is very different from aroma. Here are just some of the recipes or genes for bitter taste. So this is how scientists do things. So it's the taste group 2, and that represents bitter. Receptors is R, and that's just plural. So you could call this TAS2R. We're really funny. Scientists are so funny. We call it tasters, right? All right, look on here. Who had coffee this morning or tea? Keep your hand up. Who has had a gin and tonic at any point in their life? Okay. We already talked about my IPAs over here, a couple of those. Whole wheat bread. So these are natural bitter molecules. Or throw it out there, but has anyone had PTC? It's okay. How about saccharin, like in Sweet and Low? These are synthesized molecules. ACE K, anybody have a Coca-Cola Zero? Okay. And how about Tylenol, acetaminophen? So we have natural things in foods that we have evolved to detect. And then we have man-made things that we can detect too. That's why it's really hard to make pharmaceuticals. Most pharmaceuticals or drugs taste really bad. And so it's hard for kids to take them, for example. So almost everybody, did anybody not raise their hand? Only a few of you guys, but everybody else, why are you eating these things and drinking these things that are so bitter? Remember I told you babies don't like IPA? And they don't like coffee, turns out. Okay, here's why. Nature versus nurture. So this is the fun part, is that you're more than your DNA. You're more than your ADN. Aroma preferences, 100% cultural, we talked about. Risk tolerance. As you get older, you have, this is my daughter, by the way. I'm going to show you a series of 3 pictures. She's 3. Tiene 13 años. I'm pretty proud. Didn't kill her yet. That's good. Today's is loco. I don't know. Anybody else have a 3-year-old? Okay, risk tolerance. This was the first time she had kimchi. and kimchi is very pungent. Now she eats kimchi with a fork, like for breakfast, as if she's in Korea. Risk tolerance, our risk tolerance increases as we get older because there's less of a chance something's going to kill us, and our body's immune systems now are stronger than when you're a kid. So raise your hand if you're a parent or an auntie or an uncle, tío, tía, right? Got picky kids in your family at all? Want to strangle them? Yep. Survival. They're just working like their bodies are supposed to. Familiarity and multiple exposures. So that was Georgia at 1. This is Georgia at 2. She helps me cook almost every night. So what does that exposure look like to ingredients from start to finish? Then you have less fear of them. Then your brain starts learning, oh, even though that was a little bitter, right, like broccoli and kale, well, I didn't die, so I guess I'll keep eating it. And so you have these multiple exposures. This also goes for coffee, IPAs, so many other things. You get that multiple exposure, habit formation, social encouragement, which often happens in a beer drinking situation or wine drinking. And then comes what I was just talking about, that social reinforcement. So yes, she eats her vegetables, but yes, this was her birthday last week. Yes, she likes cake, right? So just because you can give your kid multiple exposures to vegetables and you're hoping, oh my God, please be healthy, they're still gonna eat cake like that, like a crazy person on their birthday. Yeah. But that social reinforcement, that human element, is something scientists can't study. I could spend my entire life, right, with just one of you, and I would never be able to say scientifically what makes you, you. You're more than your DNA. And that means you get to be and do anything you want to be, not just in taste and not just in flavor, and understanding that. So the last thing I'll say before I kind of bring this together is that there are physiologically learned food habits. So these are things that actually change the way your body works. So it's not just because, for me, like nostalgia, going to, abuelita's house, and you're loved, you are safe, you are loved, you are cared for. Those smells, you could probably tell me right now exactly the smell of, su tía, the casa de su tía, casa de abuelita. It's like, this is different. This is like, again, raise your hand if you had coffee. Why did you drink coffee? To wake your butt up to get here. I did the same thing. The van picked us up at 7:30. And I'm the last talk, right? I drink a lot of coffee. So you have a physiological change. So yes, you formed a habit, but that habit didn't start until you had a physiological change. The caffeine, when it goes into your bloodstream, does very specific things to wake you up so that you can go to school, so you can do your job, so you can do all those things that you need to do awake when you just want to stay asleep. That's physiological. Then it becomes a habit, right? When you brew coffee now and you smell it, and you want coffee because you smell it, that's the habit piece because you've had multiple exposures. That first hit was because it changed you physiologically. Opposite. Now, I'm sure nobody will say yes to this, right, Andreas? You've never, let's say, drank too much, ate some food, and threw it up. Never, nunca. Me either. And what do we blame? The food. Well, I'm never eating that again. Sometimes it's food poisoning. Most of the time it's the alcohol. But you now have a physiological change that your brain knows that this bad thing happened, and you are going to have an aversion to that for potentially years. Now, it never happened to any of you, so you can't give me any examples, but maybe you could talk about potential later on. So the science of you leads to some very important things right now. This is your behavior scale. We had that candy. Oops, not showing up any of my words. I'll just have to remember them. Thankfully, Chester taught me how to remember. This circle means you won't try it at all. Normally that's written right here. You won't try it at all. So you can probably think of something in your life that you won't try. And that's based purely on vision. If it's the first time you've seen it, it's based purely on vision. So we're not talking about memory yet. Won't try it at all. The next one is, okay, you'll take a bite. Now, after you take a bite, a couple things happen. You're either going to spit it out immediately. You're either going to, let's see, spit it out immediately. Here's the next one. So there's 4 of them. Spit it out immediately. Swallow begrudgingly. Swallow, but not ask for more. Swallow and want more, which leads you to a second exposure. So you can think about what's like a product that you've potentially purchased. That second exposure, now you have to live up to the expectation of that first time. So either it lives up to your expectation, or it doesn't. So who had the chamoy candy before? Todos, I hope. Maybe not. Okay. You have a memory of that. Did this time live up to your expectation to the previous time? Did it taste the same? Except for you're doing it so mindfully because you're tasting things like scientists now. Yeah, so, and if you have something that meets a good expectation, you become brand loyal. So this is where I get hired a lot by companies who make products. They want to sell it to you because they want to understand how flavor behavior leads to brand loyalty. But for you, how can you intercept in here to understand and override the things your ancestors needed to survive? In order to say, okay, I didn't think it tasted very good, like beets. I don't like beets, but then I had a kid. Who likes beets? I know, it's like love or hate, I don't know. I had a kid, I wanted to be a good role model. My husband told me not to be a brat. I don't know what that translates to in Spanish. And he said, you need to eat beets in front of our kid. So I did, and I've taught myself to like beets. Thank you so much, yes. You can do the same thing. You can change your flavor behavior scale. And that means that you can change, if you can do it there, you can change your trajectory of all your experiences in life. Because again, you are more than your DNA. You're more than your ADN. And what that means then is your world perception changes when you use mindfulness in order to use all your senses to perceive the world around you and then make decisions. And if you need to, you can intercept those things that those pesky ancestors, well, they survived, but they gave them to us. And sometimes it makes it really hard for us to understand our world when we have that case. So take the things that I've taught you today, I hope, and I wonder if you could, I challenge you to go beyond just nutrition. All right, first, go out and have fun, and next time you eat and drink, do it mindfully. That's the easy homework. The next homework is, see if you can intercept your behaviors as it pertains to nutrition and food choices. And the third thing is, how can you take this as an analogy for how you can change your outlook and your experiences in the world as a whole, and by doing so, hopefully change the world. So this is one of my favorite quotes. It's from Cesar Chavez. If you really want to make a friend, go to someone's house and eat with him. The people who give you their food give you their heart. And we all know that's true. Thank you. Gracias y salud.